Sushmita. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have Sheryl and Dana with us. They are the author of The Aligned Approach, and they are the founder of Be Aligned. Welcome, Dana and Sheryl. And I would now love to ask you about you. I know you guys are the dynamic duo and you have done amazing thing. Your book speaks for itself. You have done great in your field of work. So before we jump right into doing the interview, I would love to know more about what do you do and what is Be Aligned?
So we've been healthcare practitioners since the early or the mid 90s. So we've really been in the field for a long time. We've watched it change and evolve, and we still notice that there's a big gap in the healthcare system. Even between what the clients know and what the therapists or the medical professions know. And we really wanted to close that gap because a lot of people are feeling really helpless and hopeless when they get these diagnoses, and they don't have a clue what to do about it, and they don't know where they're starting from, where to go, and what's the current research and science. So they'll Google, they'll shop for some kind of guru, and they're not always getting the best sound advice. So we wanted to get all of the current research from all of the thought leaders and put it into a way where they can really reflect on their own health, where it's gone off track, and to bring it back on with some simple exercises and a lot of awareness and understanding of their own bodies.
That way they can actually take responsibility for their own health as well. So often they'll see therapist after therapist after therapist, and it gets frustrating. They want to have some way of getting back into their lives and not really not succumbing to their injuries.
Okay, so Dana and Sheryl, tell me, when did you both decided to become an author or starting to write the book? What has influenced you the most?
Clients. Definitely our clients have always been asking me if they could, where to find the resources, trying to pick my brain, where did I get the information? They just wanted more to read. And it was throughout so much information and so many manuals that they wouldn't be able to break down and understand it without a huge science or mathematics background or even biomechanics. So we really needed to develop something for them. We teach, so we have practitioners, and we had developed 13 practitioner manuals to take them through each of the systems of the body, how to measure, how to make corrections. So what we did with those manuals is then we turned them into a book for the layperson, so they could get that same information in a way that was easy and fun for them to understand it.
We've also been influenced by our own problems and challenges that we've come up to against through the years. And the other thing that really came into play is looking at other people who've made incredible, they've overcome incredible challenges. And so the influence was to show people that this is what's possible. So, you know, when they have had a real problem, if they can aspire to someone who's already overcome that, it's a huge inspiration to them.
And in the book, we called them the A gamers. So again, the people that I typically see and work with are the achievers, the aspirers, they're the athletes, and the artists. So they have all of this fire in them and they want to get it out, but a lot of times those people burn out. So we want to prevent that. So that's been our influence. And the A gamers that we use in the books are people who have overcome absolutely extraordinary injuries and traumas and things that would have defeated some people, and they found a way through it. So we wanted everybody to have that opportunity to find their way through any barriers that they might face in their lifetime, and we all will face them.
Absolutely, and that's very true. It's like we think that the answer is always there with medicines and direct medicine, but the fact is the most important thing that is there is to understand our body. And I'm sure that I personally read your book, and I know that your main objective is to make people aware of the potential that our body holds within ourselves, right? So that's a great thing, and I totally love everything about it so far. So tell me, what would be your advice to aspiring authors who are now trying to write? Because I know you have achieved so many amazing reviews, amazing testimonials from your clients, from your readers. So I want to ask you that what would be your advice to all the aspiring authors there?
Our advice to aspiring authors would be to find a coach, a publisher that can work with you and really help champion you through the low spots, because you're going to have low spots. And also make a plan, make a really great outline, and literally block it out on a calendar. And then the other thing is start asking for testimonials, ask for reviews from people, because without asking, it can feel a bit dicey, like tooting your own horn, but really it's important to get the sort of that you have a tried and tested result if you're doing a non-fictional book. And people are generally really excited to help out and to give you those testimonials, especially when they've had a really good success story. Like they want to share. So just ask, reach out, but be organized, be systematic in your approach.
Yeah, you really want to build your credibility and your reputation and make it a real huge priority, and organization is huge. If you don't have structure in that direction, it makes it a lot more challenging.
So I would like to ask here that what has been your most important lesson you have learned as an author so far?
Our most important lesson so far has been perseverance. And don't listen to the gremlins in your brain. Really keep at it step by step. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah, it truly was commitment and dedication. And again, you made us accountable and gave us bite-sized steps. So it worked for us. It wasn't easy. It was hard. And I would also encourage people to start now. Don't put it off. It's going to be a lot more work than you think it is. But if you take those small steps, you'll get it done. And when we got it back from you, from the editor, we couldn't believe what it had transformed from the beginning. And remember, I was like, I need a ghostwriter. I didn't know so many people used ghostwriters in our field, and we understood why. It was definitely a daunting task, but to have done it ourselves, and we know that there was no one behind, that we were pretending that it was us. It came through in our own words. Your editors kept it true to tone, and we just appreciate you so much for doing that for us.
I still remember when you said it's so getting overwhelming and should we get a ghostwriter? And I was like, no, you don't need it. Just put your mind up, because yeah, it's a daunting work. Absolutely, it's a daunting work, but it's like, and that is where sometimes it's like, I personally feel if you directly go to the ghostwriter, you lose the essence. Your book now has your essence into it, which is like, you know, Dana and Sheryl did it. So when your readers read it, it's like they feel that as if you are talking to them, which is very hard when it comes to getting it done through the ghostwriters. And I now understand that probably you understand why I said no.
Yeah, we really put our heart into it.
Absolutely. So tell me, what would be a piece of advice you wish you knew as a young writer? I really want to know this.
Well, the piece of advice that I would have given myself as a young writer is really, you do have something valuable to share. Everyone has different gifts. And so therefore, what I have to say is unique from other people. And the people that I know, the successes that I've had, I can share with them to help make them successful in the things that they're strong at. So get started, start sharing, and I think that's really the biggest step.
Yeah, and find your inspirations, whether it's other authors, other thought leaders, other people in your lives, and really use those inspirations to develop yourself. And Grammarly. Grammarly was very helpful too.
It's a great app. Get on the Grammarly.
Totally.
I was actually shocked at the different mistakes that they found. It was crazy, like really jargony terms. It was really incredible. So a great help. Really.
And I studied linguistics in university, and I got 100% in grammar. And it's just when you're free flowing, it was just easy to have it caught all along the way instead of having to go back and redo it and make it more user friendly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, tell me, I mean, there is one thing that is surrounding all the author community and writers community throughout the world is like, writer's block. Oh my God, how to get over writer's block. I mean, that particular word is used more than even I think the word publishing itself or writing, like, oh my God, I'm facing a writer's block. So tell me, I know you both are working full time, but how did you manage your schedule and your time so that you could stick to your schedule and you could finish writing your book and you don't really get hounded by that writer's block?
Well, one thing is it happened during a pandemic. So when you have writer's block, there are a couple of things that Dana and I have the privilege of knowing right off the bat because we're in the healthcare field. So a lot of times when you sit and you think, the brain starts doing this rapid thing. So what we would do is say, okay, look, we've done enough. We're seeing cross-eyed. Everything's looking the same. There's nothing new. So let's get up and move. And movement increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain and all of those things. And then bam, the inspiration would come. And so we'd rush back, get to the computer and capture the thoughts that came as we were exercising, but also we were collaborating and we were sharing, we were bouncing ideas off of each other. So truly, if you can have another person to bounce those ideas off of a sounding board, that really comes in handy.
And we never brought our phones with us when we went on these nature walks because we just wanted to put it all away, all the tech. And we so wished we had that to voice record because the epiphanies and the aha moments that were coming up as we were moving when we were just so stuck, like 10 minutes earlier, but when we weren't moving, was just phenomenal. We really had a whole chapter by the end of the walk.
I remember when you had your biggest aha moment when you went for a nature walk and then you came and you were like, we found what we want to do. And that's so true. That's so true. It happens. It's like I get my best ideas when I'm going for a long run or a long walk all alone. People ask me like, you don't listen to music? I say like, I don't. I just like keep thinking because my thoughts are most precious at that time. So I totally agree that that is definitely one thing which will help the aspiring authors, the writers, to actually come out of the writer's block. So is there any time schedule that you might have scheduled for yourself, like 1 hour like a day, or what had been your time? Like, how did you manage on the time? I know you both work together on the Wednesdays, but other than that, how did you schedule your time so that you stick to the process?
So it was really difficult for me because my practice is so busy and I really had to devote a whole day to it. And it really hurt my heart sometimes to be taking myself away from the clients and then, the loss of income associated with that. So we really did dedicate ourselves in such space that I devoted a whole day. And then we ended up doing like 2 hours in the morning, or we would assign each other tasks. So we were kind of like accountability partners. And we would do them in the evening as well. So there was no, binge watching TV. There was no extraneous stuff. We really did put our focus towards it.
The other thing about scheduling time I find is that if you schedule even like 5 minutes kind of turns into 20 minutes or half an hour because you get on a roll.
Yeah.
And so it's just the sitting down is the big step.
It's so hard to sitting, but just sitting yourself down, it's like going to the gym. Putting your shoes on is the hardest step. And once you get there, you keep going.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me that I know your book has 18 pages of reviews in it, where you have received all the reviews from people, and that's like something phenomenal. I want to know that in today's world, it's like so hard to get reviews and people struggle to get Amazon reviews and reviews for their book. So how did you both manage to get so many reviews for your book, so many testimonials for your book?
Well, as far as getting testimonials and reviews, the first big thing is asking. If you don't ask, you're not going to get you're not going to get a review. That's sort of the long and the short of it.
And people really wanted to help. We develop relationships with our clients. They're just not another number running in. Like, we really care about their outcome and how they're going to do throughout the rest of their lives. I always say, on my watch, in your lifetime, there will be no knee replacements. There will be no, like, I'm with you for the duration. I have children that I've seen since they were babies, and now they're having babies right now. So it's really that long-term relationship. It's not just, you know, the knee, it's how this affects their whole life. So when it came time to ask, they really did show up, and some of the testimonials are a few pages long. They poured their heart out to it. And a lot of, you know, some people want just one sentence or two sentences, and you were just like, no, put the whole thing in. And it was just so beautiful to be able to value them, valuing the aligned approach. And again, it was, thank you for asking us to do that.
It was a great exercise for sure.
Of course, but the end result turned out so good, where you received so many heartfelt notes that when you just like read those notes from people, you know, you are changing so many lives for sure. And it's not one, it's not two, it's 18 pages. My God, that's amazing for sure.
And they made it worthwhile for us to keep going in those stuck moments too.
And when,
because that process, it wasn't a process that we started at the end of the book. So it really was for us to read them as they came in. It helped us keep going, especially at the end when, you know, tying up all those loose ends can be challenging. It was food for our writing and for our persistence.
I know your book is a nonfiction book, and when it comes to nonfiction manual kind of a book, that we always tend to say that it is very hard to keep a nonfiction book really fun, really engaging. And your book is 350 plus pages book. It's not small, it's really thick book. But how did you manage? Like, I have seen people reading the whole book and never feel bored. So I want to know, how did you make your nonfiction book so interesting and engaging while being informative at the same time?
Well, we know through science that the first sign of stagnancy is boredom. And then when people are burnt out and overwhelmed, they feel blah, they're not engaged. Our first chapter, we think the first physical problem that we're dealing with is disengagement. So that has to be our first focus, was to keep engagement. And then we know the science of engagement so that we can develop that. So it has to be about them. It's not about us. You learn very little about us in the book because it isn't. We had a journey along the way, but this book is for you. It's for the reader.
And then the other thing is, how do you make that happen? So we figured that every chapter we wanted to flow one into the next. So we had themes going through it. We also had little chunks where they were the exercises. So again, that was consistent through all the chapters, where it's like, you go check yourself. So the go check yourselves were in each chapter so that they could actually look at their own body and where they are and sort of measure themselves. Every chapter also had another section. Again, we spoke earlier about the A game, bring your A game, so that they started looking forward to, like, whoa, how's this chapter going to end? Like, what's going to be this incredible person at the end? So there were these, like, it wasn't just writing. It was broken up by really inspirational quotes, by fun facts, by the go check yourself, and the bring your A game.
And that took away the impossibility where people would be like, oh, I know that they can do it because they're at this level, and I don't think I can because I've never put my mind towards it. I wasn't an athlete growing up. And you can see how people started from nothing, that 0 to hero type of transition.
So
we also had 77 photos throughout the book. So, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It probably would have been 1,000 pages, but because of the book, we had it down quite a bit too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, all those things actually keep the reader upbeat with them, like, because you are asking them, go check yourself. And while they go and check yourself, they will move. And the moment you move, you are now again in a very different space, and that complete thing sets up again. It's resets. So you again start all fresh. So definitely, like, that's a great advice, to make it more with exercises, with fun facts, so that people have some time to laugh. And that, I totally agree, probably had helped you to take out the boredom, and now your readers love to read the 350-page book without getting bored. And that's an amazing achievement for sure. But what I am really interested to know is, how did you become an author? How becoming an author helped you in your business?
I have a full practice, so I can't grow my clinical business anymore because I can't see any more people than I already do. And we have all these other wonderful practitioners. So it was really fun to be able to introduce that. And the other thing my clients have is, because it's such dramatic, profound change that they get, if they weren't able to be able to explain that to their friends and family and coworkers. So now that they can show them the book, and they have a better understanding. And it also made it more meaningful for the clients. So they understand the method behind the math. They call it magic, but it's math that happens. So they started asking me even more questions, whereas maybe they were, still in level one, they hadn't progressed further. It almost gave them a carrot. So I'm going to start doing my squats in this way. And it just motivated them more because they knew what they were working towards in the bigger picture.
The way that the book has really affected our business is that, initially we had the luxury of starting by teaching. And so we had some really great material, but it was very heady. It was very much for the practitioner. So there was a lot of scientific information in there. And so we realized that the next step, to be able to bring new clients for these students that had graduated from the program, was to introduce the information in a way that the layperson could understand. And so that's why this book had to happen. So now that the book is here, first of all, it's really increased your credibility, for sure. And I mean, it's flying off the shelves. So people are really interested in knowing the information, and again, seeing why the techniques work and what's behind it, and getting to the root cause. Also, they've become really amazing billboards themselves. They're sharing the material with friends and family. So, some people will buy 3 or 4 books and they'll share them or give them as gifts. And then we really do look forward to start doing some groups and some speaking, and that actually, so that'll be a huge.
It was able to re-establish my group coaching that I had put off to the side because I was focused on clinical practice again. So we revived the group coaching that I've done for athletes around the world, and we reintroduced that into a more affordable, accessible way so that they could put the mindset and movement back into their own lives with just an hour call. And that has been really fun to build that back up again. Yeah.
So let's face it too, a book is just words on a page. And yet that information, for it really to do its work, needs to be embodied. And so as people start doing the work in the book and taking those pictures and actually doing, it spreads that message through the world. And that was our initial goal, was really to have a global effect on health, as opposed to just disease management. We want people to really step into their ultimate high performance capacity, so that they really get charged up and they're living these fabulous lives, instead of being on their rat wheel, on a treadmill with their injuries that are preventing them from living their best life.
It's very difficult to think yourself out of a problem. It's just very ineffective.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, like, how would you scale it? Like in terms of like 1 to 100, where were you before you became an author as in terms of your authority establishment, in terms of your business and how it grown and how it had impacted and scaled up after you became author and you had stamped on that authority level?
When you talk about a scale of 1 to 100, when you're talking about how the book has affected our success, it's really challenging to do that because it's really opened up an entire new world. So instead of having one-on-one relationships now, it's not even 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 like when we teach courses. Potentially, this is 1 to 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. You know, selling 1,000 books at a time is now possible, and affecting all of those people at the same time is possible. You know, with the internet and with all of these incredible technologies, oh my goodness, we could have our own television channel at some point.
And I really only had a local or provincial reach, you know, within a 4 or 5 hour distance. And now it's gone from national and to international. So anyone in any part of the world can grab a book. They can start, you know, listening to some interviews and some podcasts, and we have some more projects coming down the lane so that everyone has access to rehabbing their own bodies, movement, and mindsets.
That's amazing. That's great to know. I mean, wow. So it's like, you know, the pandemic has really helped to grow to an international audience because it's like, you know, earlier we were confined in that our area itself. Now we have opened up to the world, and that's amazing. You don't have to be confined to only teach people in Canada and GTA and Toronto and all these areas. You can go to as many countries as you want, and like, congrats, guys. So picture this. You feel uninspired. I'm asking you to picture this because it's like, it's a very, very common scenario. And I keep hearing people that I don't feel inspired and how to move forward. So as you have done it, you have been through the process and you have done it so well together. So I want your advice and your input on this. So picture this, you feel uninspired and you are in front of your computer for an hour without conquering any words, you have everything in your mind, but when you sit down in front of your computer, you just like get out of the words, you don't know how much to put, you have no words to write. How do you actually get your creativity flowing at that particular moment when you are super, super uninspired?
Well, we actually have a chapter for that called Monkey See, Monkey Do. So we know how to get inspired is to watch other inspiring people. So when we weren't feeling it ourselves, we would turn to other people that are doing it, that had that passion. And literally our mirror neurons in our brain start to make that happen in our body. So we would just turn the channel towards other people that were doing and accomplishing stuff. And it was really funny, on one of our pamphlets or even on our website, we have that woman that's rock climbing. And it's funny that Sheryl and I just did that same rock climbing a few weeks ago. So somewhere it imprinted in our brain that we should become rock climbers too, and did it. So it's just funny how what you surround yourself with, all those inspirations, it really does make your body believe you can do it. And then you can do it. It's very phenomenal. And you want to kind of not focus on the naysayers and the people that create doubt and are uninspiring. You kind of just have to kind of move away from them and towards the people that elevate you.
One simple way you can start that journey to getting inspired is by asking questions, asking expansive questions. So even a question to ask could be, what question can I ask to get inspired? What's a thing that I can do to get inspired? What is the video I can watch to get inspired? That type of thing. And so then that is just that first initial spark that starts the momentum going. And then that energy, it almost feeds itself.
Yeah, as opposed to this is so boring, this is hard. You literally feel the contraction in your body when you're pouring that into your brain until
instead of, oh, how amazing could this be? How much fun could this be? And then all of a sudden, everything starts to light up. You get the epiphanies and the ahas, and magic happens.
Perfect, perfect. So we spoke a lot about the different things surrounding, like, your publishing journey, your writing journey, how you how you could take your business to the next level, and all the good things. But now I really want to know, what are the funny memories and the moments and the best moments that you might have as you were in this journey, which you will probably cherish forever?
One funny thing that we noticed during this journey was that I think a lot in colloquialisms.
Colloquialisms and idioms, yes, very much so.
And so I would say this little turn of phrase or catchphrase, and Dana would be like, what?
The proof is in the pudding. I'm like, how is there proof in pudding? Or something about a Nile River, denial. I don't even know. I'm like, what is she trying to say here? Or pay Peter to rob Paul. I'm like, who's Peter?
No, rob
like,
Peter to pay Paul.
That.
She's like, what are you talking about? And actually it was a really good lesson because, we are communicators. That, there's a lot about communication and how we communicate, how we're confident and how we have charisma. And a lot of it has to do with communicating clearly. And we realized that we had to make some changes so that as many people as possible could understand. So, and although we were laughing our butts off, we also learned a pretty good lesson.
And I think the other funny thing too is just the hard work of it, like just doing sometimes the drudgery. So we have pictures of me when I started writing, and people would I'd be on the couch writing, and then I'd be, at the table writing, and I looked like a normal person. And then by the end of the book, I'm like, not showered, I've got my pajamas on.
For the third day.
Yeah, and you can't Instagram post those ones, but that's what was happening, pulling out your hair. I wanted to punch the computer, those kinds of things. So it's just like, what really goes on behind the scenes. It's not always glam, and yeah.
But one of the best things was the collaboration. Yeah. Was that we got to bounce off of each other, and we both have different strengths, which is really important. Mm-hmm. It developed our relationship even more, and developed trust, and a lot of the things that came up in the book, they were things that we got to actually experiment with firsthand and test out firsthand.
Our own upper limit problems, absolutely.
Yeah, mm-hmm. For sure. And then we were using the tools, so it was also a good lesson in this stuff really works. We were having to use it ourselves. We have to use the
breakdown to break through.
Exactly. Yeah. We had to use the ego character because we've never done this before.
Absolutely. And it's like those memories you will cherish forever. And whenever I look at people posting on Instagram or Facebook about that picture perfect surrounding with the glass and clicking, I'm writing, I feel like, really? That's how you write? I mean, when I write, I'm all I cannot even show myself to the world. It's like the reality is so different than the Insta and the gram world that we live in nowadays.
And reading glasses and 20 pounds later, because my butt was planted, those things happen, but that's where we prioritize, and now we can kind of go back to.
Exactly, and your hair is always on top, as if you're trying to pull it here. I know, but I really want to know that how you have grown as an author from you were as a person, as overall growth. It's very well known, but still we do not emphasize the importance enough that writing a book itself will make you more aware of even the knowledge that you have. What is your take on that?
Our take on how this has affected our success is that at the beginning, there were all of these notes and papers, and we had stuff taped to the wall, and it just looked chaotic. And then we got this. And so I think it made me feel that I'm more powerful than I ever thought I could be. It's a real milestone to say we are published authors. We actually took thoughts and research and put it in a tangible form. It just really feels like a massive accomplishment.
So we can bring things through to completion as a team and individually as well. So our next projects too, again, we don't know how to do it, but we're confident that we can see it through and learn everything. We also want to integrate more movement because we've been lacking in that. And so we've, are doing an adventure race, and we've got surrounded ourselves by the best people in the world around that to help us with our training and our development. And we know we can follow it through because we followed this through with you.
Absolutely. And it's a total process. And as I always say, that it's like you grow as an author. Like when people get tagged as author, you just don't become an authority just like that. You have worked on it so much to reach that level of authority. And I totally agree that you grow as a person as well. But like, tell me, what does being a successful author look like to you?
Specifically around being a successful nonfiction author, my idea of success is that people take those words, the black and white on the page, and they actually incorporate it into their lives, and they see the changes, they see the improvements, they get to new milestones, and they expand their lives so that they're living a better life than they were before. They're not letting things hold them back anymore. They've sort of brushed that aside, and they're on to a bigger, better stage for themselves, whatever that means for them.
And success isn't materialistic. So we knew that, we weren't looking at a book as a way to gain income. We just really looked at a book as a way to share our message and for people to enjoy the experiences of their life better without so much pain and struggle. And again, we talked about the hopelessness and the helplessness. They actually have a tool to be able to hold into their hands tangibly and work through. And it's almost like a legacy to us. So they always can have that, and it's affordable and accessible. And we love to be the backup team and the cheerleaders, just like you were for us for that.
It is really like a user's manual. I mean, we're not born with a user's manual to the body. So this really does decode for people a lot of mysteries so that they're now starting to harness the incredible power that is the human body.
And having good health and a healthy mindset, like that's success. That is success.
It is priceless. It is. Without health, we have nothing. We can't accomplish really anything without our health.
Absolutely. So it was amazing learning so much from you both. It's like, it was great to know so many elements, and I'm sure our readers, our followers are going to love listening to you. Will be getting a lot of motivation and inspiration to do their book properly. But at the same time, I would love for you to say a few words about your book so that all who are listening know what it is about and can get it whenever they want.
It's 12 chapters that take you systematically through your limits and shows you a way to measure where you're at so that you can watch your improvements as you do the exercises in the book. I mean exercise, I don't even like them exercises, but the go check yourself. So you can actually see where you're at and then take yourself through to a new level in an order that allows you to build one step after the next. Sort of like building a house. You wouldn't start by putting the roof on. You start in the basement and you work yourself up to the top so that you're not taking one step forward and 2 steps back.
Yeah, we really need to create a foundation and a platform for us in our lives. And the healthier and stronger the foundation, the wider and more ability that you have without things crumbling or the straw that broke the camel's back. Everything's supporting each other in the body and in our lives and in our relationships. So that's a big thing.
It's almost like you see people, they want to have a condo building, but they only have the stilts of a shack in a swamp to support that. So of course it's going to fall over. So this is that, it's a recipe for them to start building that strong base, and then they can choose the building they want to put on top of it. They don't have to have a condo. Maybe they want a mansion, or maybe they want a wilderness lodge.
And we have so much ability and potential locked in us. So now we can untap that and unlock that for them. And they can see exactly what that barrier is so that they can move through it.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you so much, Sheryl, for coming in today, talking about your experience and inspiring all of us. Thank you so much for being there. And we would love to know more about your journey. And I'm sure you have inspired all our audience today. And with that, we are going to say bye to everyone, and I'm going to very soon see you guys with yet another episode, inspiring stories from our authors. My name is Sushmita, and thank you so much for joining us today. I will see you with yet another episode very soon.